Today's video is about Deep Work by Cal Newport, a very famous book with some very interesting concepts. First of all, what is deep work? It's the type of work that you do with full attention in a distraction-free environment. It's the most valuable kind of work you do. In contrast to deep work, there's shallow work, which is mostly logistical tasks that don't add much value to your life. Just to clarify, these are the tasks that still need to be done, like brushing your teeth or filling your timesheet so your company can get paid or you are out of your job, those kinds of work. What prompted me to pick up this book was my lack of focus and concentration back in 2022. So, to be more focused in my life, I picked up this book and read it in one sitting. So, I'll discuss 7 important things that I learned from this book. Number 1, why is deep work even important? Deep work is considered a superpower in the 21st century. It's becoming very rare because most of us do shallow work these days. We are surrounded by distractions, our phone, email, and sometimes even co-workers when you're working from office. This really impacts our focus and concentration ability. But to be the best at what you do, whatever it is, you really need that focus and concentration. And I, working in a creative field, I needed that more than most people. You need deep work to be creative. The author also gives you this formula to produce high quality work. The more time you spend and the more intensity of your focus in that time, the better your work would be. This is especially true for professions like marketing, content creation, and so on. The author also says how you will be much more happy in your profession if you can create value and handle everything skillfully. How can you do that? With deep work. Now, while I don't remember the examples and research the author has cited in the book, which really is very convincing, I am convinced we all need deep work. Second thing from this book is how to develop this habit of deep work. To do this, you need to step much further than your intentions. You need to establish rituals and routines to help you do the deep work. Your willpower would not get this job done. This makes even more sense to me as I have read one more book that further pushes this point about how useless our willpower is. We have grown up with self-advice and stuff about if you really want to do it, you will do it. Wrong. Brianna Weiss, in her book The Mountain Is You, speaks about self-sabotage and how our brain isn't even wired to do what we want to do. Scientifically and physically, our brain is set up to do what we are most comfortable doing. So our willpower and all the thoughts and reasonings fail in front of this one solid truth about human brain and psychology. Anyway, in deep work, Cal Newport shares 3 philosophies through which you can do deep work. Number 1 is bimodal philosophy. So in this, you do your regular work for 3 to 4 days a week and then isolate yourself in a very different environment to do deep work. It's what many authors do. They go to a cabin or a hotel room to write. J.K. Rowling has this interesting story about how she could just not finish the last Harry Potter book because of the pressure. So she really left her home and moved into a hotel to do her work. But let's be honest, this isn't doable for most of us if we are leaving our job and all the regular work to lock ourselves in a cabin to finish that presentation or report. We'll probably be fired before we can even present that report, right? So another philosophy is rhythmic philosophy. In this, you attempt deep work every day for a certain period of time. For example, let's say you need to write a book. You designated 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day, 2 hours every day to write. It's a philosophy that the author himself follows, and the good thing about this one is anyone can fit this into their schedule. No money needed for 5-star hotels or no amiri needed. Lastly, there's the journalistic philosophy to do deep work, which is used by the famous biography writer Walter Isaacson. So the philosophy, how it goes is that you drop everything you're doing the moment inspiration strikes, isolate yourself a bit, say you move upstairs to be in your home office or go down in the basement and work. But the only problem with this one is normal people like you and me cannot do this kind of deep work. Walter Isaacson can do it because he has trained himself to work like that. Most of us cannot do this, and we need to establish our own philosophy that gets us into the deep work state, the one that suits our personality, our lifestyle, and our class. Sort of like if you're middle class, you cannot have money for hotel rooms just to write a book, period. So basically, we need to form our own rituals and rules that allow us to do deep work in a distraction-free environment. Now, that's our third thing: building these deep work rituals. The author says you have to keep three things in mind when building your deep work rituals: where you will work, how you will work, and how you will support your work. The point is, you need to build your own routines and rituals that help you do deep work. J.K. Rowling did a grand gesture of moving to an expensive hotel to finish the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. We may not have the means to spend thousands of dollars on hotels, but we can carefully build routines and rituals to help us get into this flow state. Fourth thing to note from this book is the 4DX framework. This actually comes from a book that's almost a century old, and it's all about execution. You know, we all go through these kind of situations. We know what we need to do to find success or accomplish a goal, but it's the how. Getting our hands moving and the system going, that's the problem. Execution is the problem. You know all the steps, but you just cannot figure out how to start or how to do this. You know how to do this, but like getting it done or starting it is a problem. So 4DX framework gives you four disciplines actually. What are those four disciplines? Number one, focus. Focus on the most wildly important task. Number two, act on lead measures. What? Well, there are lag measures and lead measures. Lag measures define what you're trying to achieve, and lead measures define what behaviors or habits you need to have to achieve that thing. I have an even more simplified definition if that just sort of confused you. Focus on process centric goals instead of number centric goals. That sounds easier, right? Instead of trying to chase the number, try to chase how many repetitions of tasks you will need to get to that number. For example, like in YouTube terminology, instead of trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, try to focus on how many videos, or like making the videos to get to 100,000 subscribers. So focus on the process, not on the number. Anyway, the third discipline is where you keep a tracker or a compelling scoreboard, something that stays in front of you most of the time. And fourth one is being accountable. You need to find ways to make yourself accountable. Maybe telling your friends and family about your goals. I think this is like slightly controversial in my opinion, because sometimes you mess up your chances of success by announcing your goals to people. But yes, these are the four disciplines of the 4DX framework. Fifth most important thing I learned from this book is the importance of idleness and downtime. The author speaks about the importance of just being free and says it's not really an unproductive thing. Doing nothing is important for your brain. Doing nothing doesn't mean watching TV or scrolling on social media. It's really doing nothing, staring at the ceiling fan for hours, kind of nothing. This is really important for you to refresh your brain. Downtime is also important, especially because the author mentions that deep work cannot be done for more than 4 hours a day, no matter how hard you try. That's the human limit, according to the author. Now, downtime is important to get extra insights in your brain and also recharge your mind's battery to prepare it for the next deep work cycle. The author suggests that you must shut down in the evening. In fact, build a ritual or series of steps to help your body get that signal that it's now downtime. This is where you analyze what you did, what's left, and push it to the next day's to-do list. So your brain feels actually empty at the end of the day and is able to relax. I actually have been doing that ever since I read this book. Like I review my to-do list, which is never ending in my current job, and I just like be like, this is tomorrow, this is tomorrow, this is tomorrow. So I'm actually done at the end of the day, even when I'm not done. But that has helped me like feel clarity in my brain and feel less tired and burnt out. And some of these things seem so much like common sense. Of course, this book is so good because the author has cited several examples and research to prove these steps and points. But some points are something that naturally makes sense. If at the end of the day you're still in the state of mind where your work is pending and you're still thinking of that, you just quickly burn out and feel exhausted. You've got to shut down to keep going in this marathon of life or career or 9 to 5 and stuff. Anyway, next, productive meditation. Things like going on a walk, no phone or podcast to bother you with it. That's one of the best forms of productive meditation. It's the state where you're again in a distraction free environment, but also a creativity inducing environment, like a walk in the nature where you're thinking of your work. The breakthrough ideas you get from such activities are unmatchable. Again, something I 100% agree with and understand. The author has cited studies to prove that even if you are in a bad mood and say the weather is gloomy and just bad, this form of productive meditation still produces results. Lastly, let's discuss structuring your day, planning your day. It's a common concept you see so many times in the time management books. They all speak of this activity where you need to log your day and account every half an hour of your day or an hour. Some very productive people account for every minute of their day. What was great in this book was that the author acknowledges how this activity is set up for failure. Because you do this for like 1 2 days and it all goes well, and then the moment something unexpected happens in your day, this activity fails. Your confidence goes away and you're back to zero. So this technique has never worked for me more than a week. What Cal Newport emphasizes in this book is that the goal isn't to stick to this structure. You are allowed to plan and replan as many times as you like. The point of this activity is to help you have a structure to your day so your brain isn't stressed out. See, when you have no plan for your day, your brain is constantly under pressure to think what it needs to do next. Honestly, I'm filming this on a regular weekend, a sort of break from my job, and I have struggled with this firsthand. When I'm working, most of my days and even most of my weekends are easily structured. But when there's a long weekend, when there's just one extra day or a couple of days where I'm just free, I am super stressed. And nowadays, I remind myself of this idea and start structuring my days better and better, and I actually feel better. This is also why you often get anxiety on Sundays, because most of the times we leave weekends unstructured. Our brain feels stressed when we just let our day stay unstructured. This was like a breakthrough idea for me, for real. Anyway, to summarize this book and all the ideas that I have learned from this book, for deep work, you need to rewire your brain and become comfortable with resisting distractions. But also keep in mind your willpower is actually limited. So you need to build an environment and rituals to resist these distractions without needing a lot of willpower or any willpower. So how can you build your system around these distractions? For example, in this real world, you can't just delete social media apps, right? For somebody like me, I need these apps for my work. So the idea is to build a routine so you can work around these distractions. Now, figuring out how to do this is a bit difficult, and it will differ for each of you. But one of my recent successes with this is, how we all wake up in the morning and browse on our phone while we go to the bathroom. We all browse our phones like that while taking a dump. It's the reality of this time. It's unhealthy, disturbing, disgusting, but we all do that. Yeah, guilty. Now, instead of watching reels these days, what I do is I have started learning a new language. I actually use Duolingo to practice some French. I've been doing it for a couple of months now, and I think it's like a better use of my morning. Instead of like getting into that like cycle of watching reels, I actually am learning something new. So this is better, and I think this is one of my personal examples on like how to work around those distractions. I actually like did not remove using my phone, but I have tried to use my phone for something better, something more useful, instead of just like mindless scrolling. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you find it valuable, and if you're watching it until now, you are awesome. Tell me what you think about deep work. Do you think you do it easily, or do you also struggle with deep work? Comment down below. And if you have found this video valuable, please make sure you're liking, sharing, and commenting on this video. This helps my videos reach to more people, and more people will watch it and learn how to do deep work. And that will be so good for the society. Yeah. And that will be so good for the society, right? So yeah, let's do that. Thank you so much for watching. This is Manvi signing off. I'll be back with another video very soon.